Good evening, everyone, and welcome to the first selection, Absence of Malice, 1981, in our new miniseries, All the News That's Fit to Print, which highlights films about the newspaper business. The film was produced and directed by Sidney Pollack and stars Paul Newman and Sally Field. Its screenplay was written by Carl Lutke, and its music by Dave Grusin. Lutke was a former executive editor of the Detroit Free Press and had himself been part of a Pulitzer Prize-winning team of investigative reporters when he left journalism to write a screenplay about the newspaper world, which ultimately became Absence of Malice. The movie's title refers to one of the legal defenses against libel defamation. Its story was inspired by the media law case New York Times Company versus Sullivan from 1964. In a unanimous 9-0 decision, the Supreme Court held that if a plaintiff in a defamation lawsuit is a public official or person running for public office, not only must they prove the normal elements of defamation, they must also prove that the statement was made with actual malice. In the movie, the Standards Counsel, Davidek, explains the film's title, saying, in the matter of law, the truth can be irrelevant. If there is no knowledge that a story is false, then the media are absent of malice. If the media have been reasonable and prudent in producing a story, then they are not negligent. They can say whatever they want about someone, and the offended party is powerless to stop them. In conclusion, Davidek says, democracy is served. Absence of malice has also been used in journalism courses to illustrate professional errors, such as writing a story without seeking confirmation and having a romantic relationship with a source. When this movie was released, it was both financially and critically successful, earning over $40 million at the box office. It received mostly positive reviews, with particular praise for Newman's performance and that of Melinda Dillon as Mike Gallagher's lifelong friend, Teresa Perrone. There were also kudos for Wilford Brimley's delightful, crusty cameo as an assistant attorney general near the end of the film. Many critics also compared the movie to the 1976 Best Picture Oscar winner, All the President's Men, seeing it as a primer on how to be an awful journalist, whereas The President's Men portrayed Bob Woodward and Carl Bernstein as brave, indomitable journalistic heroes. Variety said the film offered a splendid look at the power of sloppy reporting to inflict harm on the innocent. Pauline Kael remarked on Newman's sly, compact performance and on Melinda Dillon's marvelously creative acting. In a 2011 article in the Columbia Journalism Review, Lauren Kirshner blasted Megan Carter as a terrible journalist, saying that although Megan has the fearless persistence to get the job done and get it done on time, she's irresponsible with sensitive information and doesn't consider the motivations of her anonymous sources. She forgets that she's talking to real people who must live with the effects of what she writes about them. The movie was nominated for 3 Oscars for Best Actor, Best Supporting Actress for Dillon, and Best Screenplay, but failed to win any of them. Absence of Malice was filmed in several sites in and around Miami, Florida. The entire film was shot outside the studio except for one scene. It was a reshoot of Gallagher's line of dialogue, where he says to Megan that he might see her later. This fulfilled the Hollywood tradition of romantic endings, at least hinting that the 2 lead actors would somehow be together in the future. The scenes set in the Miami Standard newsroom were filmed in the Miami Herald's newsroom between midnight and dawn to minimize disruption to the newspaper's operations. The Dade County Courthouse was the site of scenes with Elliot Rosen, the overzealous federal prosecutor who tries to incriminate Gallagher. Teresa meets with Megan Carter in a lovely garden with exotic plants and sculpture. This was filmed at Villa Vizcaya, an estate museum in Coconut Grove. The park scene, in which Gallagher meets with District Attorney Quinn, was shot at Matheson Hammock State Park. The exterior of the Miami Standard building was the flagship National Bank building on Brickell Avenue in Miami. The Coco Plum Women's Club in Coral Gables was used for San Ignacio's Catholic School for Girls. Gallagher's warehouse was located at 140 MacArthur Causeway and his home at 4001 Hardy Avenue in Miami. Megan meets her ex-flame Bob Waddell at a Hard Rock Cafe on Biscayne Boulevard. For Paul Newman, this movie was a direct attack on the New York Post, which he hated because the newspaper had published a caption for a candid photo of him in 1980, implying that he was prejudiced, which he claimed was inaccurate. The photo showed him on the set of Fort Apache, the Bronx, standing next to a woman with her hand raised to the camera's lens, and the caption read, "Paul Newman stares in astonishment as a Fort Apache crew member wards off a group of Hispanic youths protesting the film." Newman said that in reality, it was the New York Post photographers who were being warded off. The Post retaliated by banning Newman's name from its pages, even removing it from movie listings in its TV section. In 1983, Newman told Rolling Stone magazine that he could sue the Post, but it's actually hard to sue a garbage can. Plot summary. Mike Gallagher is a legitimate Miami liquor wholesaler whose father was a local mobster. Elliot Rosen, prosecutor with the FBI's Organized Crime Task Force, has no evidence that Gallagher's involved with the mob, but decides to pressure him in an effort to get him to supply information on the murder he's investigating. Rosen purposely leaks information to Megan Carter, a naive but well-meaning Miami Standard reporter, who is gung-ho to get a great scoop. She publishes the story without confirmation, and Gallagher's name is soon all over the headlines. Gallagher has an ironclad alibi provided by his longtime friend, Teresa Perone, whose story is recklessly published by Carter, leading to tragic consequences. Megan tries to make amends by revealing her source to Gallagher so he can get his revenge. Fun facts about the film. At the midpoint of the film, Field and Newman are having dinner, and Field tells him a story about her father waiting for her to come home from a date by lying on the lawn. This is actually a true story. Her stepfather really did lie in the grass waiting for her to come home from her dates. Gallagher's boat was named the Rum Runner, a reference to his father's occupation, which was bootlegging. Megan and Gallagher have lunch together aboard the boat in an early scene on Miami's Biscayne Bay. The car that Megan drives is a Mazda RX-7, popular in the early 1980s because of its innovative rotary engine. When Gallagher shows up at Megan's desk in the Standard's newsroom, she's so startled that she spills coffee all over her desk. But even in the 1980s, especially at a paper the size of the Miami Herald, no one could merely waltz into a newsroom. He would have had to pass through security, be announced, and then been escorted to her desk by an armed security guard. The last scenes of the film show the Intracoastal Waterway, which leads all the way up to Massachusetts. So Newman's comment about heading north and east is accurate. The union workers who struck Gallagher's wholesale liquor business tell him that if their union cards are confiscated, they will not be able to work anywhere. This is a goof because California is a right-to-work state, and no one needs a union card to work. Note how prosecutor Elliot Rosen is constantly playing with a rubber band. This is a direct reference to Humphrey Bogart's portrayal of Captain Queeg in the Caine Mutiny, as he plays continually with two small steel balls. Things to look for. The scene in which the Miami Standards counsel, David Eck, explains the movie's title, Wilford Brimley's wonderful crusty cameo as Attorney General Wells. What Miami locations can you identify? Megan and Teresa meeting in the gardens at Vizcaya. Elliot Rosen constantly fiddling with his rubber band. Field's story about her father lying down in the grass waiting for her to come home. Megan's Mazda RX-7. The final scenes of the Rum Runner sailing out of Miami on the Intracoastal Waterway as the closing credits roll. Ronald Reagan's portrait on the courthouse wall during the courtroom hearing scene. Now it's time to view Absence of Malice. Sit back, settle down. Please remember, it may take a few minutes for the film to roll. Enjoy.